with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Tonight's meeting is being both video and audio taped, and if anybody else in the audience is doing so, please inform the board. Thank you, Colin. Okay, we will go to meeting minutes, Mr. Gagner.
I'd like to approve the minutes of February 2nd, 2016. Make a motion to approve pending as written.
I'll second.
Motion's made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Whole business, we have, I'll start with this. We have a request to establish a gift account to receive donations towards the Canine program. The chief did contact me regarding this. I think he's spoken to both of you guys regarding it. People have extended, or would like to extend donations for the Canine coming to the town. So the chief, we would have to establish a donation account so that the funds can be used solely for the purpose of, let's say, food, solely for the Canine itself. So we've had numerous residents step forward and ask if they can make a donation towards the Canine. So it's the board's responsibility to have further discussion or decide whether or not we want to set up that donation account, if there's anything we want to write regarding that as far as the stipulations on what the funding can be used for.
As long as it's put towards the dog, the health and welfare of the dog, not used on anything except for the purpose of the health and welfare of the dog, I would have no problems with it.
I understand you talked to Madeline already, the accountant. She said it's okay, but we have to okay it, so
Yep.
it's okay with me.
Does anybody have any questions regarding that? Yes, sir.
Is there like, at some point in time, there's $20,000 in there, do you stop taking donations, or, you know
I
what I'm
think we
saying?
would actually receive
It's
20
perpetual for 1,000 years, you know, that kind
I
of stuff.
mean, we could consider putting a cap on the donations, but do I think we would exceed 20,000? I don't know.
That's just a
No.
crazy
But
number I picked.
if you're taking into account that it's looking to feed the animal and other things like that, that it solely involve the animal, I'm not against it. I agree that maybe we should possibly consider putting a cap on it, but I don't know how much.
Yeah, I mean,
I would assume, excuse me, I would assume myself it's gonna be like a rotating account. If they get donations for food for the dog, they're gonna end up taking it out of there to buy food for the dog. So
Right.
it shouldn't be climbing that high. If it does, we'll have to.
good, you
we'll
could
have to
get
deal with
some
it at the
little
time.
lady that all says, you know what, I've got kids, I wanna donate my,
Right.
you know,
Well, I think we
My estate to
can
it.
consider that, and I think also maybe
This-
setting guidelines for what
goofy
it can
things
actually be
happen,
used
you know.
for is important too, I think. We discussed that possibly, but I'm not against the donation account. So with that, Stanley, I'm sorry, you had a
Yeah,
question?
I'm just kind of concerned and curious. We got a grant for 25,000.
Yeah.
Don't have the dog, not on board. We're asking for donations already.
We do.
We're not asking for it,
We're
people
not
have already
asking for it.
extended
People coming out
donations to
doing
us.
it.
Yeah.
We're just trying to be able to accept them legally, and how we would have to set up an account.
And the dog
Why would
arrived
you do
last
that?
week.
Why would you need it?
Well, people have good hearts, they wanna make a donation, you don't wanna turn them away. They've contacted the police department asking to make the donation, so for us to do this, we have to approve some way of receiving those funds and putting them in a set account for that purpose.
Okay.
It's not that we're actually soliciting the residents for donations.
And the funding would only be for 3 years. So you're gonna end up paying for it after that anyway.
So with that being said, do I hear a motion to approve the donation account for Canine?
So moved.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Still in old business, Mr. Lavash, do you have any old business?
No, I don't.
Mr. Gagner, any old business?
I do. A couple of months ago, a citizen was concerned regarding non-registered vehicles on properties. And I believe the chief had gone around and spoken with some residents. And that was, I want to say a couple of months ago. And I believe those residents have had enough time to do something about it. It was brought to my attention by a couple of residents that there has, by the people who have these vehicles, that they are still there and that nothing was done. So I'd just like to say that I would appreciate it if the board might reach out to the chief and ask him to take this to the next level and get some fines out there. These people were given ample time to get rid of it. And if it is an eyesore, you know, it's an eyesore. We have bylaws in town. If If they don't like the bylaws, we can change those bylaws. But if you have a bunch of vehicles sitting out in front of your house while we're trying to get business to come into town, it's probably not the best welcoming mat, if you will, sir.
So, because I'm not aware of the bylaw, did you look up the bylaw? Or Becky, are you familiar with the bylaw pertaining to how many vehicles they can have on the property?
3.
3. Thank you, Stanley. And then the fine is after that, how much?
I don't know if it's $25, every
I
day
think
is
it's
a separate
25.
offense, but it is up to the chief of police to enforce.
So the request is just to contact the chief, then chief?
Right, and see if he could get back in touch with any of the violators that he had spoken to previously, and see if we can get something
I thought it was
moving.
one vehicle.
I thought it was one unregistered vehicle. You could have as many registered as you want, but you could only
I thought it
have
was
one
two.
unregistered. We will look into that.
A total of 3.
Registered and unregistered? No, you can have as many registered vehicles as you wish, Stan.
I'm just curious now.
Otherwise, he's coming to my house, because I got 3 registered vehicles, and I'm gonna go buy one to put out there just so I have it.
What do I have, 5 registered? Have you found it, Mr. Lavash?
Excuse me?
Have you found it yet?
Not yet. Derelict vehicles, it's on the bottom of this one.
51?
Article 8, or 13 of it. Abandoned motor vehicles, page 50.
Well,
See, it also says they're gonna be in derelict condition.
Right. Unlicensed motor vehicles.
No person shall park,
Section
store,
6,
leave
Bob.
a permit.
Yeah.
More than
Section
one
6.
unlicensed motor vehicle.
Yep. So you're saying there's more than one there? And that was
Page one.
52, section 6.
See, this one says it's gonna be in derelict condition.
Right, go over the page.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we can contact Bruce.
Send him an email.
Yeah. That's good. Is that it from you?
For old business, yes.
Okay. The only thing I have is, the board is actually considering maybe sponsoring a bylaw change now regarding rubbish and properties and who enforces it. In our current bylaw, it states that the board of selectmen would write the citation for the homeowner if you find that there's an excessive amount of rubbish left outside, similar to the problem that we had on North Street. I've contacted the Board of Health. We'd like to consider changing that to the health inspector. So when that person, he or she, is out inspecting the facility, and he or she finds there to be a problem, they could write the citation at that point in time. The Board of Health is I've spoken to them, I've spoken to their chairman, and he's in favor of it. So we're looking to possibly sponsor that article change for the upcoming annual, so we can make sure we can take care of these issues in a timely manner. And that's all I have for old business. Okay. Comments and concerns? Yes.
One follow-up on the trust fund for the Mary Lane Hospital.
Yes.
Someone was supposed to find out what's
The
in
amount?
there.
I did that, but I think I'm 19,000?
I think it's something like that.
It's like $19,000.
According to Mr. Delansky last April, it said the fund started with $40,000, and to his knowledge, through his whole tenure, nothing's been expired.
I have to check into that one, Stanley. I believe, I could be mistaken on the $19,000. Let me check with Madeline tomorrow.
Minutes of April 14th, 2015.
April what, I'm sorry, Steve?
14.
14? Of 2015.
He claims it was $40,000.
I do know nothing's been expended from there. I do know that. I think the amount's 19,000, but I'll double check. I will.
No. Could you
But-
get a printout of what was expended and where?
If anything was, we can, yes, but I don't believe there has been. As far as, from what I heard from the town account, nothing's been drawn from that account.
Can you get a printout?
If anything has, then yes, we can. Yep.
Thank you.
You got all that back?
Yep.
I'll find out, I'll be able to
Can
order it.
can be reallocated because it's a trust.
Correct, cannot be reallocated because it is a trust. That was a question that was raised, I think, a few weeks ago. No. Anybody else? Yes, Ms. Belrose.
I questioned you previously, Mr. Nardi, and the board, if town council was aware of the conflict of interest issues with this board. And you, the following meeting, said that you had stated that town council had been contacted. But I think in light of recent and past activities, I really question whether the board has been honest with town council, especially based on a recent court case I have in my hand, available in East Brookfield. Docket number 1569 RO parentheses H0291. And during, it basically was with two people in Warren. During this proceeding under oath, statements in the court that were, witness statements were given that don't even match up to what was said. Then witnesses' statements don't match to what was written by the police department. The court proceeding was brought to head over a disagreement between two individuals over a hate website. And it would seem that, according to the court transcript, which again you can go over and get, it would seem that the denial was actually assumed to be an affirmation. Mr. Gagner admitted that he leaned towards this individual, Mr. Burrell, but then he stated that he was 10 feet away, so it doesn't even make sense. What brings to light is this court transcript is a continuing affirmation of the environment of quid pro quo in this town. Conflict of interest between the board and police department is stated by the lawyer in this transcript. It also states that Sergeant LaFleur should not have been involved in this investigation. And then also the judge asked Mr. Gagner if Mr. LaFleur Jr., who was there, was he acting as a police officer in an official capacity? Mr. Gagner stated no, under oath, that he was not, but Mr. LaFleur got paid court time that day for sitting in court. So I'm really not quite sure how that works out. But based on this transcript and what I've read and these different documents, I'm really calling at the time, I really believe that Mr. Gagner should consider resigning based on this particular incident.
I'm not gonna entertain any more talks.
I think that we should be calling for a suspension of our police chief and Sergeant LaFleur until there's an investigation of this department. I also think that there should be a suspension of Officer LaFleur Jr. I mean, in court, said he wasn't official, but we paid him court time. I don't know if this board is aware, but in November of this past year, the town of Holland, Mass, selectmen were cited and charged by the State Ethics Board for an issue with a blogger in the town who was making criticism of the board, and they were found to be guilty. And it would seem that right now what's going on in this town is really quite sad. You asked for people to be involved in this town, and I was really impressed with that, people be involved. But let me give you an example. I tried to be involved. My 95-year-old aunt, who has Alzheimer's, who lived, worshipped, and worked in this town, was attacked on that hate website. That hate websites are attacking people on Christmas Day. These hate websites are directly linked to people in this town who work for the town. And it's really quite sad. And I think that you as chairman should get some type of investigation going on to this type of behavior.
Okay. Can I have those documents that you have there?
No, I had to pay for them, they're all public record. I had to pay for everything I have. So, I mean,
My
if you
question is, can I make
if you
copies?
want her to make copies, you're more than welcome to.
That's what I was gonna ask. Can I make copies of those?
Yeah.
Can you give me a chance to review them? And
Yes.
look it over? It seems like you probably got about 10 pages there. Let me look at it. I know
Well, I don't think that you should be looking at them. I think town council should be looking at what's in this information, because I am concerned about going forward, what kind of legal position this town is based on some of the actions of people who are representing this town.
It can be, but I would like to just review them first before I send them off. I just wanna make sure I'm aware of what we're actually making a request to council for, before I send it off, because it's gonna entail money and time. So I just wanna make sure it's warranted, and I wanna be able to read it and look at it before we send it
And
off. So
I-
we'll make copies.
I would
If you-
suggest you read the one about the town of Holland. I mean, it's
I am
almost
aware of
like
that
Warren.
one. I am aware of that one, actually, Mary. So I will look into it though, but if I can have, we can make copies after the meeting's
Sure.
over.
No problem.
Okay, good. Anybody else? No? Alrighty. Mr. Gagner,
Sir.
correspondence, please.
The office received notice from the Board of Health with information regarding landowners on and down gradient of Reed Street that are not connected to the public water supply system. Their office was notified by the DEP that 1,4-dioxane was detected in residential water wells on Reed Street at levels that are above current drinking water standards. If anyone has any additional questions, they can contact the Board of Health office. I believe that's extension 112. And it's 436-5701 or 5702.
Just to, letters went out last week.
I spoke to Rachel today, they are going out.
They are going out. We encourage everybody, you should contact the Board of Health if you have any questions, if you live in those affected areas. We also spoke about possibly having a meeting with possibly a member of the Board of Health, the chairman or their office with planning and the Board of Selectmen, and see what we're gonna do moving forward, because it's a major problem up there, and it needs to be addressed. And I know that the Board of Health's been actively working on it, but I think we need to schedule some time with planning and the Board of Health moving forward.
There's also a requirement for disclosure too, if anybody in those affected areas, and they do have a well, if they go to sell their property,
Yep.
they need to disclose that as well to any potential buyers.
Do they supply where they can have the water tested, or can they bring it to the Board of Health to have it tested? Or?
There's a couple agencies around, the Board of Health has information, I have some too in the building department.
But if any of the residents, if anybody has a concern, contact the Board of Health first.
Could we put that up on the website?
Yeah.
This is already, the letter from DEP is,
No, I mean, the places where you could have it tested.
oh, sure, yeah, we can do that. Yep, I'll get a list from Rachel and,
What about cable access? You think so?
Yeah.
Possibly?
yep.
Contact Needler, maybe? Okay.
The
Emergency-
state, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but the state does provide bottled water
Yep.
currently to about 9 homes
Yes.
on Reed Street.
Ready? All right. Emergency Management / CERT submitted their monthly report as of January 2016. The office received notice from Senator Goby's office that the State House is currently reviewing the governor's budget proposal for fiscal year 17. Senator Goby wanted to take this opportunity to reach out to the town to inform us of the budget schedule and to solicit any budget requests the town has. Further information on the proposed fiscal year 17 budget can be found online at www.mass.gov.
More money, please.
Pardon?
More money, please.
I'll get that out there.
Yeah.
A notice was received from Bay State Health Systems regarding the consolidation of the services at Mary Lane and Ware. Subject to appropriate regulatory approvals, the emergency room will continue to operate as a satellite facility. As part of the planned consolidation of services, the intent is to close all inpatient medical / surgical / pediatric services in Ware effective on or after June 1st, 2016. At the Ware satellite location, BWH will continue to provide outpatient surgical procedures, chemotherapy, and other cancer care, laboratory and imaging services, women's health services, pediatric care, and limited observation care.
I know you've been working on that.
Yeah, I actually had a conversation today with the Mike Moran, the new regional president for Bay State, now the consolidated, what they're working for. My concerns with him were not around the inpatient or the transfer of inpatient only over to wing. As I had stated before, the reasons that they are saying is that they are looking at census, which says that the population in this area has shrunk. Also, the number of beds that are being utilized in inpatient does not make it feasible for them to stay open. So moving it over to wing, that's okay if that's what they decide, as long as they look at something else they can give back to the community. It is not a loss of services, it's a transfer of services, and what are they going to give back to the community? Chief, one of the things that I brought up was the occupational health and how they had closed down occupational health in both Mary Lane and Wing, and to reopen one of those would help all surrounding towns, because right now, if Warren, Palmer, Belchertown, Ware, Barry, the whole surrounding area, hire someone new, firefighter, town employee, whatever, and they need services, they're gonna have to go to Worcester or Springfield. And also looking at added services in the possibility of some type of outpatient, inpatient, and outpatient outreach for opiates. So those are the conversations that we're having. We'll continue to have conversations. I will let you know and keep you up to date on what's going on. That's what I got.
Thank you. All right, correspondence. Agenda items, resident requests, discontinue portion of public road. Mr. Starziak is here this evening. This is regarding your property in Spring Street. And we had actually, I think, had a conversation last fall, just touched on it a little bit. Is it approximately about 75 feet that stretches into 100 feet?
Yeah.
That stretches into your property, and you're looking to see if we can discontinue that, pull the road, pull it back, and not have it go through your property. So I understand your request, and I guess before I ask any questions, I'll let you speak on behalf of the request first.
Yeah, I mean, I really don't have a lot, other than, I mean, I'm just starting to investigate this, but I didn't want to wait too long, so I can't get it on an article. What it is, the house was built in the 1880s. Everything north of the brook was part of the same property. At what point did the town decide that what used to be School Street, the length of it was, you know, when it became a actual town street, I don't know. When I lived there all my life when I was a kid, and they used to oil and sand, and that's how the street became paved. They'd stop right at where I've always thought the boundary was, which, I mean, I just did a little quick half-ass map just so you could.
Yeah,
I was gonna get one. So, like, the boundary to my neighbor here, High Noise, and I can't remember these people's last name now, but they used to be Pierce. I mean, if you just take a line straight across, everything north was my property, and all this 100 feet, the town has never did any kind of maintaining to.
Okay.
So, it was my mother's parents, my uncle took it over. He never mentioned anything that the street came up into the property like that. I mean, like nowadays, you gotta have a cul-de-sac at the end, so, I mean, who and where decided that's, how long the street was gonna be, I have no idea. That had to have been 50, 60, 100 years ago, for all I know. But nobody has ever, it's hard to explain. If you lived there, to just decide that I would draw a line from one neighbor to the next, and it makes sense that everything past there belonged to the property. Now, because of the solar, that's when I found out that technically the street goes 100 feet past that, the two corner boundaries of my neighbors.
So let me ask you this, does that
And it's not gonna change like any kind of tax structure. I mean, I already got a house, the house is there, like I said, 1880s, so I'm already getting a house lot tax. So, and all the rest is 61A agriculture, so nothing's gonna change as far as to the town.
So, does the 100 feet stretch actually to the entrance of the solar? Or is it
Oh,
still
God, no.
further? It's further,
No,
correct?
It just, it's, the solar is like 950 feet from.
Okay, so if this was to happen, then, let's say you sell the property,
Right.
and what if the new landowner doesn't want to allow people driving across the property to get to the solar field? How would that impact them?
I have to put that in as part of,
Part of the
right
purchase
away.
and sale.
Yeah. Purchase sale. You know, when I talked to, Mary Lou and the assessors, she thought it would be detrimental for me to discontinue it. Only because if I wanted to put a house in on the east side of the road, that's already frontage. Well, I'm 56 and I had no intention before, and I don't see having an intention now of putting in a house there. And it would just become a non-conforming lot. The house is there already. It's not like, in my mind, I don't see how anything changes whatsoever, other than now I can, like, somebody wants to drive up there, they could drive up, stop there,
Mhm.
and I couldn't tell them to get off my property,
Okay.
because it ain't my property.
Got that.
And
So-
all these years, like I said, I'm 56, for 56 years, I look out my window, and that's always been my driveway and my lawn, driveway, lawn.
Yep. So when solar came in, did they survey your whole property or just that?
Yes, but I don't have any of that, because they have to survey for the poles, the new poles
Yep.
being put in. And that's actually, I think it was when I was talking to National Grid that I discovered that this was the case. Not so much from the solar people.
And I think in your letter you wrote in, your schedule a survey of the property, is that it? Or
I was kind of hoping not to spend the money and let them come clean with what I believe is
them
more
being-
property, the solar,
Oh,
because I believe they took more property than they were supposed to for the site, which has nothing to do with the town, has to do with me and my lease. So I was gonna use their survey, but that's not gonna get done till like May or June even, because they gotta do what they call civil work, which is all the
Mhm.
site work to stabilize. So sometime this spring, I'm gonna have to have a survey done, but I was really just surveying the solar site itself.
okay, so, go ahead, you're gonna ask a planning question.
But the house that you live in, 87 Spring Street, is on
Correct.
lot 19.
Whatever, on the left side. The
It's on this-
little rectangle,
You wanna look at this, Mike?
yeah, because I
Copy
didn't
this?
take my tax, so.
Give me my copy. Which you're referring to?
18, yeah.
Well, that's not what our records show. It shows 87 Spring Street is lot 19.
What's 18? I mean, I get taxed on it.
That's,
mine.
it's a different classification, because I did look at that one too.
I mean, it has to be my house lot.
So moving forward, I think we probably need to schedule something with planning.
Because the board can't, it doesn't have the authority to make something more non-conforming.
No.
Right.
And we can't take the frontage of it. Because I looked at this too, and I said, oh, and I looked it up, but lot 18 is different, it's a 7 something. But 87 Spring Street,
Half an acre, it's about the side. I mean, because between here
and Mary Lou doesn't
My house
have
is
any
right-
record as to when this was created, ever created.
Yeah, my house is right here. Half on 18, half on 19, if you want to get technical about it.
So that's even worse.
I think that's even worse.
Well, we need to look into this.
For planning.
Before
But,
you sit down, can I see where you're drawing your house?
Yeah. You see, my driveway circles right around, right here, and there's a strip of lawn between me and these people here. This one, and
Okay.
15, 16, and
I know,
17 go together.
I'm going up here, when I drive up here, I feel like I'm driving through your lot.
Yeah, right here is where solar.
Right.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, right here is the solar, here's the other solar.
Okay.
So,
I just wanna know where you were on that.
planning?
Yeah, yeah, the
I
board
guess
needs
the
to.
only, the thing I'm here for is that you guys are, I mean, I have to get your okay, I guess, to put this on an article without getting a bunch of signatures to put it on, right?
Correct, well, we're gonna have to go to planning first to
Right.
discuss this, so.
I
if we
wanted
just
to
put
get
that-
this going.
No,
guess is what
I mean,
wanted.
we spoke about it, I understand your concerns, but we are, I hate to say it this way, we're kinda short on time as it is now. We need to have done to get this to an article before planning.
You can't present something to the voters with somebody drawing something with a
Right,
pen.
yeah.
You gotta
Right,
have
yeah.
a full
You've
length
gotta have-
surveyor's plan.
Right,
And you also have to really fully understand the ramifications if you are, you can't,
But I don't see any ramifications as far as I'm concerned. You know,
well, there could be, but
Yeah.
it just depends on how, if you ever sold the property, how you write in the purchase and sale, like we discussed earlier.
Yeah.
But I think we need
you
to bring
say
it to
that
planning.
you're never gonna sell, and you probably
Yeah.
won't, however, you never know what tomorrow brings.
right.
And you may sell it to me and I may say,
Yeah, but see, I guess, in my mind, nowadays you have a cul-de-sac. You drive to the end of the cul-de-sac, all of a sudden there's somebody driving, it's the same thing.
no, I understand what your concern is, and visually, you would think it would be right here.
Right. I mean, legally, I don't know. And I mean,
So.
You would really need to have a surveyor's plan to show
Right.
the boundaries, to show
right.
the
Oh, I
location of your
understand all
house.
that. I just wanted to come here to get this started and say this is what I want to do,
Well,
and would you
I guess
accept?
the vibe from the
fact
board,
I'm
and I mean,
doing
I'm
it?
only speaking for myself, I would entertain it, for myself personally, I don't know how, I mean, we're not gonna vote on it tonight, but I think it warrants moving forward, but the cost is, the survey, I know you're trying to not have to incur that cost, but I think it's something that's gonna have to happen and be brought before planning.
And the only reason, like I said, for 56 years, it was no big deal. The reason it's kind of a big deal now is when they redo the Spring Street culvert, and the highway is gonna try to get the street renovated. Once this is renovated, I'm not gonna be able to go to the town and say, can you discontinue it after you just spent money on doing that $100? That's the only reason I was hoping to do it this year.
Okay.
But I mean, for all I care, if I knew the town wasn't gonna renovate that, I could wait 10 years for all I care.
Can you draw on my map whereabouts the culvert
I was
is?
gonna ask too.
The culvert?
Where the culvert is on
Yeah,
ours?
I just wanna see where the culvert is, approximate. And it's Roberta,
So this is mine, right here.
Dan.
This is,
Dan.
this is
Definitely.
mine.
yeah.
That's Deborah Heinlein.
Definitely.
This is the first.
Are you gonna watch the dogs?
Oh, that's my
tonight?
little section right there, I never knew.
Okay.
Here's, right there's.
Okay.
culvert.
Okay.
So, I mean, if they don't, that's the only reason I had a little
Okay.
anxiety over it, is the fact that if they renovate the street,
So-
they decide to do the whole street. Like I said, when I was a kid, when they sanded and oiled, they stopped there. It was no big deal. But
So-
if they decide to do that 100 feet all of a sudden, which, like it says, the
Mhm.
town has done absolutely zero maintenance on that section, because I'll bet you nobody from the highway knew. They probably, when you drive up there, you would
A lot of
never
properties
think
like
this
that in
is.
town.
I mean, it looks more like a continuation of the street now
Right.
because they widened it for solar.
Yep.
But when it was just a little dirt driveway, you come to the end, you would never
Right.
think that it was anything but that. So the highway, I think, would stop there because they didn't know.
So we can't, you won't be able, when's the next meeting that you guys have scheduled?
I'm not
After
gonna
this
have a
week.
full board on it's too late for this week.
Right.
Next week, the 25th, we're booked, so it's gonna have to go into March.
All right, so that's probably gonna be the next step is getting it.
How late can you? till you
March
get
will
an
be,
article?
we'd like to get them in by the end of March. So it's not impossible, but that meeting with planning is important, the next availability to get them on.
Are you willing to get a full survey?
I'm gonna have to.
How soon could you do that?
Yeah, that's,
I don't know, I'd have to call around and ask when.
you're definitely gonna need that, definitely.
Because, I mean, the board really can't
We can't go with the assessor.
go on something like that,
No.
Right.
and I know the planning board wouldn't,
Yeah.
you know? So did you wanna call me and give me an idea if you can find somebody that can do a survey?
Well, I guess I gotta also know, I mean, I'm not gonna do the whole 87 acres. I gotta find out where I need to survey, actually.
Definitely those two, 19 and 18, is it? I don't have my map anymore.
Yeah.
Well, 19 is 74 acres and 18 is a half an acre.
Just under half.
So I support it personally myself to move forward, but I think the surveying and getting on planning is the next step. And I'll gladly attend planning's meeting when you're there, so a member of the board can be there, Beck, if you let me know. So we can
So,
expedite it for
where's the
you,
planning?
expedite, excuse me.
Where's the planning board meeting?
I'll have
Beginning of
to,
March,
it's gonna be in March.
first week. Yeah, sure.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
I'll be calling you.
All right,
The only other thing I
Yeah.
have has nothing to do with this, it's just things in general. Because of what happened with the solar and putting in the new poles, Verizon hasn't gone back, and that's something I'll have to push my solar people to get them to do. But since then, I've noticed all over town, there's dual telephone poles everywhere,
Well,
which is
if
to
you
me a
look at-
hazard and also unsightly. And it's 95% of the time, it's Verizon that doesn't do their job to take their wires off these old poles, so that
Well, why don't
somebody
we-
can come along and pull them out.
actually, I just received an email tonight, the governor's proposals is to remove the dual poles. He wants them cleaned up. That was in an email that came out from MMA today, this afternoon, one of his top 5, that was his number 5 item, I think, on the email that he sent out to us, is he wants them cleaned up and removal of dual poles. So I think the governor is working on it, so I would say that's probably gonna
So
happen
this
soon.
must be a state, obviously it's a statewide.
It's a state issue right now. There's just doubled up poles everywhere. So that is being addressed.
Yeah.
So as soon as he finalizes that, we'll have a direction to go in from there. And where the funding source can come in, who we can hold responsible for it. So it is being looked at.
Because I said, my street, the only ones left is Verizon. Everybody else did their work.
All right. Anything else, sir?
That's it.
I'll see you at planning. We'll get together on that, and if you can contact Becky.
I get Mike's numbers.
Survey is important. You guys have anything? I'm sorry.
Thank you. No, I'm just gonna
Thank
wait
you.
to see what
Okay.
we get back.
Thank you.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
you coming in. City or town owner agreement FY15 CDBG housing rehab project in Brookfield. A vote is expected for the chair to sign. The allocation of, I think it's, I'm sorry, $10,000 for the resident in Brookfield.
Yes.
I will make a motion to sign.
So moved. Second.
Motion's made second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Just one, right, Beth? Thanks, sir. Okay, extension permit for the order of conditions on Lucy Stone Park, DEP file number 318-0214. Vote is expected on that. Mr. Lavash, you want to comment on that? Regarding what it is?
No, unless you wanna read it. So if you-
Yeah, maybe you might want to read that one, Jim.
The whole letter?
Yeah, it's only 4 lines.
You got it. The Warren Board of Selectmen, on behalf of the town of Warren, request a 3-year extension to the order of conditions on Lucy Stone Park, map 18, lots 13, 14, and 15. The current order of conditions recorded at the Worcester Registry of Deeds, Book 54499, page 152, is set to expire April 17th, 2016. Thank you for your time and consideration on this matter.
And I would make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
One back.
Just the chair to sign.
Thanks. Number 9, budget discussion, FY17. Yes, sir.
Good evening.
How are ya?
Good, thank you. I've been working on a lot of different things, one of which is the FY17 budget at this time. I'm glad Barry's here as well, but I just wanted to approach the board after looking at the budget I just wanted the board to be aware, I have not met with my finance committee liaison yet to finalize anything or gone to finance at this point, but I wanted the board at this point to be aware that the only line item I'm looking to increase would be the ambulance salaries line item. I'm looking for a $5,000 increase in that for the reason of that, quite honestly, we're just doing more calls every single year. Our call volume is climbing. We have more personnel than we have had in the last few years. The number I'm looking for would restore it actually to where it was back in FY13. So it was a reduction. We moved some money around to another line item. At this point, it's gotten to the point now with our call volume increasing that I'd like to ask for that money back so I have enough money to be able to, to continue to pay it. This year, we paid out more than we have in years past because we've had more calls, this last year than we have before. We're covering a lot of calls for West Brookfield as well, so our costs are going up. So that is the only line item that I see any increase, and it's a salary line item for that reason. So I just wanted to make the board aware, and I'll be talking to Finance Committee, but I just wanted to follow procedure with how that's, with the request that came in.
Any questions, Bob? No?
No, wait till it goes to finance.
Yep. Yes, Ms. Calrose.
Will them closing down Mary Lane affect your cost to go over to Wing?
Oh, yes, I mean, well, right now, the emergency room is not gonna be closing, but if, hypothetically, if it did close for some reason down the road, yes, we would see an increased transport to Wing Hospital. It wouldn't decrease our overall ambulance calls, it would simply just divert us to different locations. More than likely, we'd see a lot of spillover to Wing. We'd probably be taking more trips to Bay State. We'd also see some increased calls to Harrington probably, so yes. But it would definitely change and divert us to different locations.
Thank you.
That would increase your cost, though, won't it?
I mean, like Wing and Mary Lane, obviously Mary Lane's a little bit closer, but, I mean, we would see a little bit of added increase, but I don't project that is, I project that, basically we're, if you look at the numbers, we're doing, anywhere from 20 to 25 plus calls more each year, more up as we go. I mean, this year, since January already, we're way ahead of we were last year. I mean, it's just one of those things that's happening. We seem to be hitting a trend where, this is where our calls are going. So, I'm just trying to prepare for that and, be able to have enough sufficient to pay the employees and keep everything going in the next year, next fiscal year.
I understand. Anybody else? I see our Finance Committee chairperson is in the audience this evening.
I don't have anything to report.
No.
Everyone's got their budgets, they're working on them now. We've adjusted the salary lines, that's all taken care of for what
Do you have any
asked us.
questions about Mr. McKeon's request?
Well, I saw your last email to me today, so really that issue lies with the select board first.
Well, it does. We have to approve it, but I would like to know what Finance's feeling is on that. I would like a
Well,
recommendation. That's your job
we
to
haven't-
recommend to us. So
We haven't met on it to discuss it.
I just, I want to make sure that we're extending the courtesy to you to give us your ideas and your thoughts on what you think is appropriate, if we should or we shouldn't. And, if you're correct, we have to vote to make that change, but I wanted to make sure you were aware of it, so.
We haven't talked about that yet. But we'll put it on the agenda so that we'll give you an answer after our next meeting.
When's your next scheduled meeting?
It's not scheduled yet, but it'll be the end of this month. We haven't gone into every week yet because we
Right.
don't need to.
So you're probably looking at the 25th maybe,
Yes.
which is next Thursday. Okay, so I can come to that and you're gonna put it on the agenda regarding that, we can have a discussion. Any information you wanna share with us regarding any thoughts on the school and their request?
Well, I've been to 3 meetings now that have been canceled because lack of quorum. So right now, all I have is the last budget that I was given by Cammie.
Right.
We can't really react to something we don't know what's happening.
Yeah, I think, and I brought this up today, I was considering reaching out to West Brookfield and trying to schedule a meeting either there or here with their select board and their financial board or advisory committee, I think it is, and our finance board. Again, I think it's, because there's not a lot of knowledge out there, and I'd like to know where West Brookfield really stands, and I'd like to hear from them prior to waiting for the school department to call us. So would you be willing to attend the meeting if we try to schedule something? On one of the
By
evenings?
now, we had one last year.
Was it by now already?
Everybody didn't attend, but
Okay.
I had attended one of the West Brookfield
Mm.
Selectmen meetings where it was a large discussion, so.
Can we reach out to Johanna tomorrow, Beth? We'll try and schedule something, I think maybe by next week, see if we can get them, you know, mid to late afternoon, early evening.
The next scheduled meeting for the budgetary is tomorrow night.
Quaybox. Did they cancel Thursday? They canceled Monday. Did they have Thursdays? Thursdays now?
I didn't go Thursday, I just went to the Monday one.
Tomorrow night's the next one? I can see RPC, I think. Are you going? I'm gonna try to go. 6:30? Everybody knows in this room what our impact would be if it was approved at the amount they're requesting. I calculated out at $1.65 if it's through taxation, to the tax rate. Yeah, oof. Yeah, that's a impossible one to swallow for the residents. I mean, the calls we've been receiving, the assessor's been receiving from the last increase of $1.09, which was largely in part by that, so in part contributed to the school. So I think it's something that needs to be looked at, so let's try and, we'll try and get that meeting scheduled, Barry, and move forward.
I think this year also, it wouldn't be out of the scope of asking the superintendent to give us a report as to whatever he promised to do with the money he was allocated last year, has that work been done? If there's been any special projects, I know there was a door or two in question, there was some equipment that was in question, I wanna know that that stuff's been done. We signed that check, it's a blank check that he can spend at his discretion, but the work should still be done.
Oh, I probably could ask that question tomorrow night.
Right.
Possibly the opportunity to ask it tomorrow night, so I think we can address it.
You know, I just think
Try
that,
to.
are we getting what we're paying for?
I agree.
Basically what I'd like to know.
Yeah, I think I'm sorry.
I'm good.
Mr. Lavash. I got a question for you, Barry, also. Mr. Sauer approached me the other day regarding FinCom and capital planning, wanting to merge the two, and I noticed there was a discussion maybe about, sometime last fall, it was brought up when we were having an issue with memberships, people wanting to sit on these boards, these committees, excuse me, and Mr. Gushu actually contacted me regarding that also last year. I'm in favor of this coming together. I think it's about time we did something like that. That's a bylaw change, which has to go before the town in May. I'm not sure if that's a 2/3 vote or just a majority or not, Beck. But it's an article that needs to be written, and I think that the two committees should come together and come up with something that they want to, I would like to know if you guys have actually had a chance to vote on it yet.
We haven't even discussed that yet because my understanding is that they haven't had quorum to even had meetings yet. I was at a meeting where I walked in and they were discussing it without anybody from FinCom even being there. I said, you know, we really, if that's your intent, it would be good for you to have a conversation with FinCom, number one. Number two, my understanding is that when Sue was on the board, she was the person who initiated the growth of the capital planning from the Finance Committee. I think we need to talk with Sue and ask her how that came to pass, how that was voted on. She would know that information. And then go forward as to what was it established for, and why was it separated in the beginning? There must have been a reason.
Well, to do something, and knowing article submission is due March 31st, excuse me, I think both boards need to vote and cast a vote as to whether or not they want to move forward with it or not, so we can even consider writing the article.
Well, it brings up the question of then who's on the board and who is not, since now the FinCom is at 6 members. Who, you know, I mean, and I'm really happy with who we have on our board now. So how do you merge the two?
Not we go to 9 members, I don't know.
I really
I
don't
don't want
want-
to, I don't want to.
I don't want it to
eliminate
get
anybody
bigger
from
than
any
it
boards.
is. I don't want this, I don't want the
Committees.
FinCom to get bigger. I have, when I got wind of this, I only got one answer from one community that has ever merged a department.
Mhm.
And they have auxiliary people in
Right.
case of, for voting purposes. You know, we could entertain that, but, you know, there's some discussion that has to be made to do this
Correct. In a short period of time.
in a very short amount of time. I
So-
empathize with them, because I know what it's like not to have a quorum.
Yeah.
But I'm not so sure why, I mean, capital planning, the issue that came up, I want to say in October, was that they were making decisions not knowing how anything was going to be funded, and how it impacted the larger budget process.
But there's still a need for capital planning. I mean, you know, we can't just do away with it. I think that's some of the concerns that some of their members had. And I think that this town has to have it.
Oh, well, I
They
wouldn't
thought
want
that it was just gonna, you know,
No,
dissolve.
I don't think we should get rid of that process at all.
No, we
So,
have to have that.
But, you know,
So, but I do agree with possibly merging them together. So with that, maybe we should send out an email. Well, who's our chair now, Capital? It's not Jerry. You don't know?
isn't it
We're talking about
Morehouse?
Their chair on Capital? Yeah, you're on the board.
Steven.
Stephen.
Morehouse.
Morehouse?
Yeah. And also, if they entertain the process of merging them, I believe you lose one from the board here and you lose the treasurer. I don't think they could be on FinCom. I think that was part of the discussion.
And that may be why it was developed, to have more say from other.
And they
other-
were talking that you're very short board on your end and a short board on our end
At the time, yeah.
at the time, and just by doing it alone, you would lose 2 members, at least, because those 2 are not allowed on FinCom.
So there are some logistics to it that we need to understand.
Yeah.
Also,
Since then, you have filled your board, so.
But is capital planning appointed by selectmen?
Or is it moderator?
No, moderator's FinCom. I think we're Capital.
So
Selectmen are Capital.
So again, is there anything legal that we have to know about with regard to that, if we merge them?
Well,
Is it
we
just
can
an
investigate
added
that later. I don't wanna spend any money on council until I know if you guys wanna merge or not, before we start spending any money on this to ask that question. So,
Like I said, the legal part of it, to repeat again, is the member of this board cannot be on it, which is requested to be on it now, and the treasurer can't be on it.
Yeah.
which is a pretty important person to be sitting on it when it comes to our finances, so, I don't know.
Well,
But the request came in, so.
oh, that, again, we could write that into the language that those people could sit on the board, but they just have no voting power. You know, if they want to be part of the discussion, but they, you know, it's up to the moderator. The moderator's in charge of me,
Mhm.
so.
All right, anything else regarding budgets? The only thing I want to add is, once again, article submission is March 31st. The select board will be meeting with FinCom on the 9th of April, 9 o'clock here for our budget meeting. And we, Barry, like I said, we're gonna try to reach out to West Brookfield tomorrow to schedule something within the next 7 days to meet with their board, their 2 boards.
So what are you looking at for a date
I think it had to be either Wednesday or Thursday.
of
It's
next
Tuesday we
week?
meet, I think they meet Tuesday also, correct?
I think so, too.
Probably looking at Wednesday or Thursday.
No,
Possibly.
Wednesday of next week.
Yeah,
Did you say you had CMMPO?
tomorrow.
Oh, tomorrow.
Tomorrow. You shoot those dates to
Mhm.
Johanna and see what their board thinks.
Mhm.
I don't have anything else for budget discussion other than the fact that the school department's the biggest portion of it again. I'll reiterate that fact and the impact it could have on our tax rate, so.
The only thing I would throw in is Adam mentioned that he hasn't met with his liaison yet, and I know Park and Rec hasn't met with theirs yet.
And I believe ours has, or David is ours, correct?
Yeah, isn't he meeting with you tomorrow morning?
I'm here tomorrow morning, I'm not sure.
You have a meeting tomorrow morning scheduled for 10?
That's an executive session,
But part of your agenda is your
budget
budget.
discussion. Yeah.
So that's not gonna be an executive session?
No. If he's here, we can conquer it then, that's fine. Just trying to finish some contractual language, or I should say, employment agreement language. We're
Right.
trying to finalize right now. So, that's all I have. Anything else, no? Anything else, anybody else, no? All right. Mr. Gagner, warrants. Treasury
Chairman,
warrants and invoices.
make a
I'm sorry.
motion to approve payroll warrant 108 in the amount of $38,111.34, and vendor warrant number 111 in the amount of $825,479.24, both dated February 8th of 2016.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye. Also, payroll warrant 113 in the amount of $33,648.21, and vendor warrant 115 in the amount of $28,190.55, both dated February 15th, 2016.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
I will make a motion that we approve warrant number 109 in the amount of $297.84 dated February 8th, 2016.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
On abstention.
Now I'll make a motion that we approve warrant number 110 in the amount of $1,450 dated February 8th, 2016.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
One abstention.
And I'll make a motion that we approve warrant number 112 in the amount of $335.07 dated February 15th, 2016.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. All in favor? Aye.
On abstention.
And I'll make a motion that we approve warrant number 114 in the amount of $610 dated February 15th, 2016.
I'll second that one.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
One abstention.
Mr. Gagner?
Drawdowns and other invoices, fiscal year 14, invoice number 14, services to administer fiscal year 2014 Com Assistant Program grant number 00741, pay is PVPC, in the amount of $13,526.93. And a fiscal year 15 invoice number 1, services to administer fiscal year 15 Com Assistance Program grant number 00762, paid PVPC in the amount of $4,880.33.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
New business. We have a request from the tax collector to include informational flyers with the motor vehicle excise tax bill. Anybody know anything about that? Because I hadn't carried off and
Yeah,
Flyer in
they're,
here.
she just wants to put inserts into the, they've been asked by the Board of Health and the about the Sharps drop-off location that they're gonna be enacting, the Board of Health,
Yep.
which probably Adam could speak to if there's any questions. And just stick them into the motor vehicle excise bills. We did it last year for CERT.
That's just an okay on motion.
I think it's just an approval.
Just an approval.
Is there anything else in the flyers? Anything else
I'm sorry?
lying in there besides this flyer? Just this one this year? Anything to chime in, Adam?
I would support that. I would ask the board to support that. I think it's very important. We had a lot of residents in the last few years that have been, coming to the fire department, the Board of Health, with regard to Sharps disposal. And, unfortunately, we were unable to take them anymore. We even ran into an issue with ours being disposed of on the ambulance from Mary Lane. We were able to clear that up, and Mary Lane could take ours, but they would not take any other, citizens or anybody else's. So I would definitely encourage that it would be a great service to the community to have a Sharps program within town, because there are a lot of people that need it. And we see, when we don't have them, we see them dumped in the trash, dumped in dumpsters, improperly disposed of. It's a safety issue. And I really would like to, I think that would improve that, and we would be seeing that kind of stuff.
So is the Sharps drop gonna be here at the Board of Health office? Is that how I interpret it? We'll contact the office, but the drop is actually here, correct?
Correct. But I think there's only one fee. A lot of places charge a fee for each place that they pick up.
Yes, I believe, and I don't want to speak out of turn, but I know I talked to Rachel briefly on it, in the Board of Health, and my understanding was it would be one collection site, and that they would have to schedule, it'd have to be in approved containers, could not be in detergent bottles or anything like that, it had to be an approved Sharps container, and there were certain restrictions put on that, but I believe it was one fee for a one-site
Right.
drop-off.
Okay. Well, it's just an approval from the board, I mean, we can take a vote if we want. All in favor? So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So is Board of Health gonna need more money in any of their lines to be able to support that?
That I can't answer.
They would have to
I'm not
talk
sure, you'd have to talk to their
during
chair,
budget
their
season.
board, and during budget season. We're still in the new business. Mr. Lavash, you have any new business?
No.
No? Want to talk about the door at all? Old business? We're moving forward with
You
it?
got put it on new business, I'll call them tomorrow morning, and hopefully within a week, they should have the button in. So
Yeah, so we're looking to get the door installed, the button installed on the
that's
door.
it, the handicap button to open the door.
Yep.
At the other end of the building where the lift is.
Round down.
I've called them, got a price on it already, the board okayed it a couple of weeks ago. They just have to call them, they have it done tomorrow. I'll call them tomorrow, they'll have it done.
Mr. Gagner?
I got a couple of things. There was a decent storm beginning of the month, and a couple of local youths, a Jeff Broder and a Josh Richards, spent their afternoon walking through downtown shoveling out fire hydrants. Doesn't seem like a big deal until you need a fire hydrant. So I wanted to make sure and thank those two individuals for taking the time to do something, not because they had to, but because it was the right thing to do. That needs to be recognized. Also, Doris Rose Dumas, lifelong resident of Warren, turns 100 on March 7th. She currently resides in Quabog on the Common. Mr. Chairman, I would like, if we could, to have something sent up there to commemorate her turning 100.
What are your thoughts? Or what do we want to
Is
send?
there something we have? Is there something we can do? Send some letter?
A cane?
A
We
what?
used to have a
cane.
golden,
A cane?
we
Is that
used to
what it
have
is,
a
Ryan?
golden cane.
Yeah, the golden cane that
The
got
golden cane?
Mrs. Award.
Doesn't
For a
that
long
go to the
time.
oldest
Blanche
one?
had it.
So where's the golden cane now?
It was with,
Anybody out there have the
I
golden
remember
cane?
this
Please
discussion
return
a
it.
few years ago.
Have you seen this cane?
Have you seen the
well,
cane?
it was found, it was found.
What? Well, we don't have it. We
Ask-
get a cane.
That's a Nancy Lowell question.
Okay.
Can you ask Nancy, please?
If we could just get some type of letter together or
We
something.
can do that too. It'd be nice to get the cane too, I guess. Fine, we'll create a new one, I guess, maybe. Is that it for you?
That's all I have, sir.
I don't have any new business. Our next meeting is scheduled for February 23rd, 2016 at 7 PM here. And with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you all for coming. I am looking at 8:01, 8:02. Chief, they still cleaning up on that?
They're done, they're on another call now.
But they have.
They had a activated carbon monoxide lab, but had enough personnel.
It was a big fire.
Yeah, I would think so.
Did you get called over to where?